for independence. Let's wave our flags. Happy Independence. Happy Independence Day. Good morning once again. We are blessed to be here this morning to celebrate Namibia's 16th independence. We are blessed to be here this morning to celebrate Namibia's 31st independence. We are blessed unto. Now, you all heard that I'm from PACON. My name is Evelyn Shilamba. I'm a PACON board member, and we are friends. We are always here. We were here during February, which was just last month, is it? Do you all remember? Yes! We are good friends. We love you. Now, events such as independence celebrations became a storytelling of our history. As Africans, we learn and pass on knowledge during storytelling times. These were important times when family gather around the fire, where the elders taught the young ones about all that is needed to know. Who they are, where they are coming from, and impart core values and principles that one needs to live in harmony with others and to succeed in life. Indeed, it was the time to share love, care, and memories, be it our struggles and achievements. Things might have changed today, that this very important tradition is no longer practiced, but we have evolved by sharing our stories at events such as this auspicious occasion, our Independence Day. Many African countries gained their independence between 1950 and 1969, followed by others from 1973 to 1980. I must mention that 4 countries, including South Africa, were declared independent between 1847 to 1941. This brings me to the point of education and storytelling, which ultimately become our history. The one who writes his story, tells his story, and thus become the only story that is known. The importance of recording and documenting stories has changed our narrative and disadvantages. It is said South Africa gained independence from Britain on 31st May 1910. The fact, however, as we all know it, is that South Africa only attained its independence in 1994, after the first ever democratic election that saw Nelson Mandela becoming the president. The really colonizers of South Africa, the Dutch people from the Netherlands, have entrenched themselves as Africans, thus making them entitled to do, and I'm saying entitled in converted commas, to do whatever they wanted because their story is that they are bona fide South Africans. Why is this important to us? Namibia became a German colony in 1884 under Otto von Bismarck to foster perceived British encroachment, and Namibia was known as German Southwest Africa. Germany surrendered its power over Namibia in 1915. After the First World War, it became a League of Nations administered territory. Following the Second World War, the South African apartheid regime administered Namibia. Namibia gained its independence from South Africa apartheid regime in 1990. This was a brutal government by the minority white Can I get a small table here? By the minority white people who subjected both native South African and Namibians to inhumane treatment to divide and rule in order to take control of their land and livestock, which is the livelihood of Africans. We live off the land by growing our food and herding our cattle, goats, and sheep. In addition, our abandoned wildlife resort was well managed and our people could hunt in moderation to provide food in an effective manner. The aim for the Scramble for Africa was to exploit Africa's abundant natural and mineral resources for the benefit of few white people, the Europeans, who made proclamations for their selfish interest. You heard of African countries paying taxes to France. Mineral resources in Africa countries are owned by multinational corporations owned by Europeans and are of European origin. From the world's largest oil reserves in Nigeria to gold diamond mines in Namibia and South Africa. It is interesting to note that Britain and France, the two small countries with a combination size of about Namibia, were the biggest colonizers of Africa, having colonized 40 countries altogether. The Nama and the Herero genocide that took place between 1904 and 1908 was all about the greediness of the minority white Germans to steal our land and livestock. Because that's what creates economic independence and the source of wealth creation. As we have learned, Namibia is a very rich nation, and you can see we are enriched with even diverse culture. Endowed with abundant mineral resources such as diamond, uranium, copper, gold, lead, natural gas, iron ore, just to mention a few. Namibia is the world's fourth largest producer of uranium oxide. The Rossing uranium mine is the fifth largest producer of uranium oxide in the world. It was these mineral resources that encouraged and motivated South Africa to try to hold on to Namibia throughout the many years of revolution. The South African apartheid laws prevented black Namibians from having any political rights, as well as restricted social and economic freedom that we are enjoying here today. The aim for South Africa's rule over Namibia was to exploit mineral resources by white minority South Africans. And it took over 24 years of revolt and warfare for Namibia to gain its independence from the minority white South African apartheid regime. During the years of revolt and warfare, between 20 and 25,000 people are said to have died. Our celebration is therefore to honor those whose blood waters our freedom. Because of their sacrifice, the sacrifice they made, we are free and independent nation today. Free to move and live all over Namibia and beyond. Free to study any field of choice. free to associate with any other human being regardless of race, color, ethnic group, or social status as we are here today. At the same time, we give credit to those countries that were committed to ending apartheid and white minority rule, such as the frontline states, which is Angola, Botswana, Mozambique, Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, that host Namibians who took up the armed struggle. In addition to many other African countries and international community that provided assistance and support to the struggle for the liberation of Namibia. We celebrate the achievement made after independence that empower Namibians, such as in the tourism sector. Namibia was the first African country to incorporate protection of the environment into its constitution, and the government has reinforced this by giving its communities the opportunities and rights to manage their wildlife through communal conservancies. Today, over 43% of Namibia's surface area is under conservation management. This includes national parks and reserves, communal and commercial conservancies, community forests, and private nature reserves. Namibia has 20 state-run protected areas all over the country, from the Etosha in the north, the Kaikais Hot Springs Game Park in the south, the Bapatwa National Park in the east, and the Skeleton Coast in the west coast, just to mention a few. Yes, we do recognize that economically, most of us are not enjoying the benefit of our country, what our country has to offer. Social inequality remains a big challenge. Unequal distribution of income, the higher unemployment rate, because Namibia is a very young nation, as the majority of our people is made up of youth under the age of 60, and lack of proper housing. These are the challenges that preoccupy our government. These social, economic evil exacerbate poverty and crime in our country. And this should be a concern for every Namibian, especially the heads. Because if you continue to accumulate more wealth for yourself while your fellow countrymen are hungry, you will be forever looking over your shoulder. We need to hold hands as peace-loving Namibians in order to build the future we aspire for ourselves and the future generations. We should avoid the abuse of alcohol and drug substance, which is mostly responsible for the breakdown of homes, family relations, and the security provided under these setups. We should aim to live in harmony with one another by committing ourselves to serve our country with honor and integrity. That is the only way to rid our nation and society of this evil called corruption. We heard the poet. I love the scripture in the book of Romans that says, we have different gifts according to the grace given us. If a man's gift is to prophesying, let him use it in proportion to his faith. If it's serving, let him serve. If it's teaching, let him teach. If it's encouraging, let him encourage. If it is contributing to the needs of others, let him give generously. If it's leadership, let him govern diligently. If it's showing mercy, let him do it cheerfully. That is a confirmation that we all have a role to play in building the one Namibia, one nation that we desire. The past year, the world has been thrown in turmoil as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has caused devastating economic and health impacts. This pandemic has made our government to rethink its economical dependence on South Africa, especially with regard to food security. Our growth at home strategy should therefore be a catalyst to eradicate poverty and unemployment through manufacturing of goods and food production as we focus on becoming an industrial nation. Our independence gains in the area of education is commendable. We are in this beautiful school. I love it. Our institutions of higher learning are becoming innovative by offering relevant courses and qualification on the needs, based on the needs of the Namibian economy and the world at large. However, there remains a need to redesign our school curriculum to become more practical and relevant to address the needs of career guidance from an early age, if we are to realize Vision 2020 and the goal of becoming an industrial nation. Our children should be taught from an early stage on becoming employment creators rather than job seekers. As young people full of hope and dreams to become the best God created you to be, I urge you to take charge of your future by dedicating all your time and energy in your education. Your achievement will be the achievement of Namibia as a whole, for you will be able to make a meaningful contribution to the socio and economic development of our beloved motherland. The true meaning of independence can only be realized when you are equipped to turn our natural and mineral resources into finished products instead of exporting them as raw materials. Through economic empowerment, we will increase our income as a country, reduce unemployment, eradicate poverty, and live happily ever, enjoying the fruit of our independence. Our leaders are visionary. Therefore, as the citizens of the land of the brave, we remain hopeful for a better tomorrow. Happy Independence Day! Happy Independence Day!
Happy Independence Day!
Happy 31st birthday, Namibia! Happy new beginnings! God bless Namibia! I thank you.